This is Ben Shalom, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Okay, so I was just watching here on YouTube TalkSport with Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver, their boxing roundup show, whatever it is that they call it. Now, I shouldn't really be plugging them because, as Simon Jordan said in this particular episode, that they shouldn't really be plugging other platforms. Okay, but hey, you know what? I'm not as petty as Simon Jordan. Now, I've always liked Simon Jordan, and I said some odd years ago, didn't I? What, 3, maybe even 4 years ago, who knows, but where I said that I would love Simon Jordan to create some kind of consortium, some kind of rival of the British Box Board of Control and oust them, replace them with people who are not as old as the hills, with one foot in the grave and the other one slipping and all that kind of stuff. People who, for the most part, seem very incapable of making proper decisions. I'd like to see a Simon Jordan oust them. I would. But that doesn't appear to be the way. That currently doesn't appear that I'm going to get my wish. And I'd love to be wrong on that one. But he was asked today in this particular episode, he was asked by Spencer Oliver to start with, are you going to get involved in boxing? And of course he was asked at the end by a fan question as well about, are you going to become a promoter, a boxing promoter or something? And Simon Jordan says it's something that he's looking at. He's been interested in boxing for quite some time. He says that he regrets the fact that he put, was it 50 million into football? Was that Leyton Orient, wasn't it? And it should have been boxing, because boxing has always been a passion of his. But what this tells us really, and listen, okay, for him to be a boxing promoter or be on board with boxing promoters, he's going to invest some kind of money, maybe become a chairman or whatever. If I was him, I would certainly look at something like a Matt Jobs or a Phil Jeffrey, something like that, okay, where it ain't going to cost him too much money. You kind of learn your trade as such, and then you guys can just boom it, okay? But I don't think that's what it is Simon Jordan's going to do. I think he's probably going to be looking at probably boxer, potentially, maybe a Queensbury or something, okay? So when you really look at some of the things that Simon Jordan's been saying as of recent, and I've agreed with a lot of things that he said, and I've disagreed with some things as well, but I have agreed mostly with him on certain situations, especially around the whole Conor Benn situation. But now you kind of weigh it up and you think, that's why you've been targeting Eddie Hearn. Now he says that it isn't him and he's got a personal beef with Eddie Hearn or anything. Well, it is, because if you're going to become a promoter yourself, obviously you're going to make a big splash at some point in the boxing world, right? Or if you're going to join another company that is a rival of Eddie Hearn, which it appears that could well be what it is, then what you do is you slag off and put down the main competitor, don't you? I have it here on YouTube. Okay, listen, it's worlds apart, right? But in years gone by, I've had, and maybe even still so, I don't know, I don't look anymore, but there's been many channels out there who have slated me. Why? Because they wanted what I have. What they want is you lot. They want you subscribers to watch them. So what they say is, don't watch Sporting Icons is biased, Sporting Icons is. That's what they do. Pretty much what Simon Jordan's been doing with Eddie Hearn. Now, I'm not saying that what he's been saying about Eddie Hearn is necessarily wrong. I'm not saying that. But the fact that the British Box Board of Control around this whole around this whole Conor Benn situation are at fault in a big way. They are. Eddie Hearn is certainly at fault, no doubt. So is Calla Sowland and Conor Benn and whatever. But the board are hugely at fault. But Simon Jordan has refused to go in on them. He will nail the feet of Eddie Hearn to the floor. He will set his feet on fire. But he's refusing to do it with the British Box Board of Control. Why? Quite clearly, because he doesn't have any plans on rivaling them at some point. But he does plan on having a license from them. Now, we know that the British Box Board of Control are very touchy. Very, very touchy. I know a couple of people who have applied for board licenses in different capacities and have been refused. Why? Because they have views and have said things about the British Box Board of Control. Me personally, if I was to apply to be a matchmaker or a manager, whatever, even a cut man, right, I wouldn't get a license from the board. Why? Because they take things personally. I've said some things about the British Boxing Board of Control. I've praised them at times, of course, but I have said some things. So if I apply, I'm going to get rejected by people who are feeling their power, like they have some kind of power. Now, don't get me wrong, okay, I wouldn't give them the power over me to decline me. That's why I haven't applied or anything. But Simon Jordan knows what you don't do is slag off the British Box Board of Control when you want something from them. So now, of course, when you look at it, so a company that he could potentially be linking up with, listen, maybe it could turn out to be Matchroom, right? Maybe their whole rival is some kind of fake beef, right? You never know. But I would imagine it's probably going to be some kind of rival. So what you do is you slag off your competition. You don't pull up the board and things like that. Now we can kind of look at some of the things that Simon Jordan has said and go, how credible are you now? Because before, people look at it and say, well, you know what, he's just a boxing fan, he's got his opinions and whatever else. But now it seems that maybe there's an ulterior motive. Is it because he sees Eddie Hearn as the competition now? Could it be that? Or could it be that he wants a board license? Either way, the things that he says now, we know he ain't going to tell the whole truth. He's going to hold things back. Why? Because he has to be selfish. He has to be. We all would be. And he's no different. There has to be a means to an end. He's spinning a narrative. He's been spinning a narrative for quite some time. Because it's not like he just heard today. No. He'd have been in talks with whatever or had thoughts for quite some time about getting into boxing and what kind of capacity. And he's been running with that narrative for a while. So now, whenever he talks about Eddie Hearn, I think we know why. When he's refusing to pull the board up of this whole Conor Benn situation, now we know why. Correct? That's a real shame because I really wanted Simon Jordan to, as I said, create a board of his own and rival the British Box Board of Control and kick them out, oust them. So the promoters, the managers all get on board with Simon Jordan and his team, who can be impartial. Don't get me wrong, Simon Jordan is not impartial. Okay, he's quite partial to be favouring the likes of Tyson Fury and other people. But anyway, listen, that's my thoughts on this whole situation. You drop me yours, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you next video.